All right, so in this first scenario, we have the mayor of Springfield, and he's interested in finding out average age. So that's the big question he's asking, average age of people in the city. So the way he goes about doing this is he gets a list of all of the landline telephones in the city. Like many of you maybe don't even know what a landline telephone is. And then he contacts a simple random sample of 300 people using that list. He uses that sample to estimate the average age of all the people in the city. So what's wrong with this survey? Well, first and most obvious thing is landline telephones aren't really a thing for most people anymore. So anybody that does not have a landline won't be able to be contacted. He's leaving out a big portion of the population. Okay, and this is what we call under coverage. Okay, so when the way you're sampling or some kind of method that you're using actually leaves out, whether it's intentionally or not, but leaves out a part of the population. The other thing is with phone surveys, you're going to have some people that won't answer the phone. I do that a lot, or that they will hang up on the caller. So when this happens and people have been chosen, but they choose, like they have been selected to be a part of the sample, but they refuse to participate, this is called non-response. All right, let's look at the second scenario. For this one, the principal at a school wants to know the proportion of students that did all their homework last night. She selects a simple random sample of 100 students and sends an email to each of them asking if they did all their homework last night. So of the 40 responses, 36 of the students said they did all their homework last night, which is 90%. So this is the principal who wants to know proportion of students that did all their homework last night. And she's going to be the one who's asking this question. I don't know about you, but I can already see some problems with this survey, right? Like the principal is the one who's asking it, so people might not be completely honest, or they're only going to email back if they finished it. If they didn't finish it, they're just going to ignore that email. So here's a couple of things that might be wrong with that survey. Only 40 students responded, 60 did not. So she had a sample of 100 that she sent it out to. So she was hoping for 100 and only 40 responded. So again, you have some students that did not respond or some people who chose not to participate. So again, this is called non-response. Okay, non-response bias. All right, the other thing is what we said at the beginning was that students might lie and say that they did do the homework. So this, when you get false answers due to either who's asking the question or how the question's being asked, this is called response bias because your responses may not be truthful. All right, I forgot to do part B on the first one, but let's do part B on this second one here. So on this one, it says, do you think the administration will over or underestimate the true proportion of students who did all their homework last night and why? So the 36 students that said, 36 out of 40 said they did it, that was 90%. 60 kids did not respond. It's likely those 60 kids did not do their homework. So that 90% right there, that is probably really high. That is most likely an overestimate. And we're going to tell you why. The students who did respond were likely proud that they did their work, or they maybe lied and said they did it when they actually did it. You could say the 60 students who didn't respond most likely didn't do their homework. So yeah, that would really be an overestimate. If we go back up to this, the mayor's estimate will probably be an overestimate also, because the people who are going to have landlines are going to be people like your grandparents, great-grandparents. Younger people are more likely to have cell phones, right? The only people who probably have landlines are going to be older people. So if he's estimating age, he's going to have an older average than what probably the whole population is. All right, let's go to the very last scenario. There's a proposal to cut some of the funding for the fire department in a city. So this is an issue. We're going to cut funding for the fire department. So one of the firefighters in the city wants to know the proportion of people in his neighborhood who support those budget cuts, who would be like, yeah, I think we need to cut funding. So he takes a random sample of 30 homes and he visits them dressed in his uniform. Okay, so what is possibly wrong with the survey? Well, this is the firefighter and he wore his uniform. So the people he's interviewing know he's a firefighter. This might influence their response, right? They may not be willing to say to him, yeah, I'm in favor of cutting the budget, which we would be cutting your pay. So he may not be getting truthful answers. So again, this is what we call response bias. When either the way the question is asked or who asks the question or the survey is set up in some way that causes the answers to not be truthful, that's going to be response bias. So people most likely are going to tell him no, that they don't support the budget cuts. So his numbers that we'll get will most likely be an underestimate of the true proportion who support, right? Like there's probably some of the people who actually do support it but don't want to tell him that. So he's probably going to get an underestimate. People are more likely to lie and say they're against the budget cuts, either because they're just embarrassed or they don't want to hurt his feelings or they don't want a confrontation or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to stop this video here and then we'll switch to the back page and do the quick notes.